It's a scene from the not-too-distant future where a ragtag group of folks are sitting around after a long day of running and hiding and foraging, trying to figure out where it all went wrong, bouncing ideas off of one another. They thought they were doing the right thing, handing the federal government unlimited amounts of power to round people up and do with them whatever they wanted to. But when their chosen and preferred guy left office, that power remained, and it was used against them in a way that they could have never imagined. And they come to a consensus that everybody was just too caught up in their emotions, and nobody was thinking clearly about what the long-term ramifications of their actions would be. That's where we are right now at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, talking about licenses, talking about all the power that we give the federal government when we perceive that there's perhaps somebody in charge that we might agree with, not realizing that the power stays long after they're gone. And it's been the mistake, that's been made by this generation, previous generations, generations before that. That's why we even have income taxes. But if you'd like the real meat of this story, things we can't talk about here openly on YouTube, join us, Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Love to have you over there. 4 levels, 2, 5, 10, and 15 a month. Most recent video we put up just a few hours ago is the Need to Know Roundtable level. It's, of course, $5 a month and up. Would love to have you over there. We have some very, very serious discussions talking about some very serious topics. This is going to be America very shortly. And there are going to be people wondering how they got where they got. And it's going to boil down to when you look back far enough and you're honest with yourself, it's going to be that people were making decisions emotionally and not thinking about it. And that makes every day Judgment Day. Every single day is going to be a day where you face the judgment, the ramifications of the choices that you made in the past. Some have asked me, Florida Maquis, how can we trust you? We know that you have said that you were, it wasn't called 37 Foxtrot at the time, but you were in military intelligence. Well, I'm trying to reveal what military intelligence does. You see here, they say shaping perceptions, driving success. You can take that perceptions part out and just put in the word feelings. Because that's what perceptions are. They're just feelings-based observations. Let me just say that again. Perceptions are just feelings-based observations. No rational thought included. And this is what the military does. They go into areas where people aren't trained in psychology or psychiatry or have any command of their mind, and they manipulate them emotionally. And once they have them emotionally, then they're going to believe anything they're told. For example, here's some facts. Natural gas prices up 25%. Auto prices increased on average of $6,000 per vehicle. Gas is not under $2 anywhere in the United States. Beef is up 80%, pork up 23%, electricity up 20%. And Trump's tariffs, which are paid for by Americans, not by foreign companies or corporations, are expected to cost American households $2,400 in addition to all this other stuff. Now, those are just facts. You can feel about them however you want to, but it doesn't change the fact that things are getting worse. And if Kamala Harris were president or Joe Biden were still president, the things being discussed in the media would be entirely different. But the emotions would remain. That's the key. That's the thing people need to hold on to. Not the emotion itself, but the idea that that's what's driving everything now. Not facts, not statistics. How people feel about a certain thing. When you get away from this and you decide, you know what? I need to look at these facts rationally, regardless of how I would feel about them, and then make a plan based on that. Would you want anybody out in the forest, in a survival situation, walking around with a weapon like this, loaded, finger on the trigger, in an emotional state? Of course not. Nobody would. You want somebody who has a weapon like that in their hand to be in command of their mind and not just going on, what they feel they should flag, what they feel they should draw down on. I've mentioned before that we're in a new Dark Ages, and that was the hallmark of the Dark Ages that really a lot of your PBS-style documentaries on Europe won't talk about. See, they want to blame the Dark Ages on Christianity and on religion, when really what happened was after the Romans lost control, and believe me, America is about to lose control, everybody just fell into this state of constant either despair or anger or fear. And people blamed this group of people or that group of people or the other group of people. Right now in America, we're blaming everybody who wasn't born in America. Some people want to blame the Jews. I mean, we really know who the problem is, but people are just too emotional to not even just stand up and say who the real problem is. We know who the real problem is. I can't talk about it here. We can talk about it at Patreon, but we all know. We all know who the problem is. And if you got rid of that group of people, we could start fixing things. But once again, it's going to take this. It's going to take a complete collapse. City's on fire. It's getting there now. But when it all falls apart, and we fall back into the Dark Ages, a period in European history, those of you who are unaware, when what learning and civilization declined, meaning nobody was thinking. Nobody was using their minds anymore. Rome had fallen, no other central authority. People just survived and lived in fear of attacks by barbarians and criminals. This is a great, fantastic quote from, I know it's Game of Thrones, it's just a TV show, but there was a lot of good wisdom in that show. The only way to keep the small folk loyal is to make certain they fear you more than they do the enemy. And that's where our government is right now. They're in Washington, D.C. with military that's just rounding people up and threatening to imprison people for the crime of being poor. For the crime of having not been able to deal with all the garbage that came down in 2020. Forced out of their jobs by a man who, if you look at him closely, has a form of what they call frontotemporal dementia. Look at Trump the next time he's walking. Look at Trump the next time he's standing. This thing where they lean forward and their arms drape like this. I've always wondered that about why he stood like that. But it's a form of dementia. So we're being led basically by a crazy man who has stated that as long as he's president, America will never be a free country. Because when you talk about the word, what they describe as socialism, it's where the people are in charge. And the job of the government is to make sure that the people are fed. And to make sure that people have homes. And to make sure that people have health care. This is the job of the government. If they can't do that, they have no business doing anything else. People will say, defend the border, defend the border, defend the border. They're not defending the border. They're just terrorizing people. And in the process, making everybody poorer in the process. You give anyone a $35 trillion credit card, and they will make something work. Because we're $35 trillion in debt doing what we're doing now. Well, we'll skip that and do it next time. But make no mistake, this power to be anonymous, the power to take all of this equipment, all of this military tac gear, and assign it to federal agencies to do with whatever the hell they want to, it's going to long outlive Trump. And you can say you heard it here first. You might wholeheartedly agree with the federal government being able to just anonymously round up people for whatever reason they see fit with no warrants, based on observation, and have the people that do it with impunity? You might think that's a good idea now, but Trump's only got 3 years and some odd months left in his term. I'm not sure if he even has that long left to live. But make no mistake, people are going to regret this. They're going to regret it seriously, because the power is going to stay with the feds after Trump is gone. And how they choose to use that power, now that it's established, is going to change. If you had told the folks way back in the 40s about how the federal government was going to abuse the idea of income tax withholding on paychecks, they would have never passed it. But so much worse now. Some might think that I'm trying to defend criminals or defend illegals. It's not about that. There's rules that we have had. Rules that we had in this country about how the government could go about policing. We limited their powers for a reason. And yeah, sometimes criminals ran free because the government was limited in its power. But there was a saying some years ago, and I'm going to paraphrase here, that better 10 guilty go free than one innocent person hang. It was designed that way for a reason. And that's been forgotten. So, remember this scene where this ragtag group of people spending their whole day running and hiding, all bunking up together, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10 of them, all under one tent. Looks like it's leaking. One little place to make a meal for everybody. One little cup of something. And that's it. And then tomorrow pack everything up and hope daylight doesn't find you in an internment camp. That's where we're heading right now. It's only a matter of years. Maybe not even that. Especially if something happens to Mr. Trump. And the way his health is looking, this amount of power, once the feds have it, they're never giving it back. I'll leave that there. Join us, Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Brand new video up. Brand new video breaking this down. Love to have you over there. Could sure use the help. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.